Hi, this is Coach Jackie, and I'm happy to welcome you back this evening. Today, we are going to start a series of discussions around this workbook, My Dream Journey. It's a workbook for people with big dreams. So please make sure that you have your copy with you. You are welcome to ask me questions as we go along. I will try to answer as many of them as I can. Today we are going to start off with looking at chapter 1, and I always like to think of life as a journey, because a journey represents movement. It involves a destination. It involves a starting point. And between the starting point and the destination can be lots of things, unexpected things, expected things, different landscapes, different people, different qualities of transport or roads, or very many things between where you start and wherever you're going. You know, it's just like life. And I also like this analogy because the end of a journey is not necessarily the end. In fact, hi Eileen, I can see that you have joined us. How are you? So the end of a journey is not always the end. In fact, the end of one journey is very often the beginning of another. You might take a break at your destination, but usually there's another journey coming right up. And in fact, we are always traveling little journeys every day. Our lives are made up of little journeys every day. So how does one prepare for a journey? You know, maybe you know where you're going. You've been there before. That's probably going to be an easy journey, but unexpected things happen. You know, we've been having lots of rains in Nairobi these past few weeks, and you get floods. You get unexpected potholes. A tree falls. Just ahead of you, and you know, you have to make changes to a journey that you have been making every day for your life, and you know, suddenly things are just not you know, what you expected them to be. So this is also why I like using the ideology of a journey, because you can think you have it all down to pat, and then unexpected things come up, and you're called to look deeper or wider or farther for a way to overcome whatever it is that has thrown itself into your path. So when you're planning a journey, you're probably thinking about how long is it going to take you to get there? What means of transport are you going to use? How much money is it going to cost you? Are you going alone? Are you going with others? But another important question is probably, how will you know that you have arrived? If it's a place that you are used to going, you may already think that, yes, I mean, I know exactly where I'm going, but things change. I was driving through the central business district of Nairobi the other day, and I was amazed at how certain roads have changed. They've become one-way routes, whereas before they were two-way. There are new buildings. So even places that you believe you already know can change. So you have to be sort of constantly on the lookout for changes, for opportunities, for obstacles. But just knowing where you're going is not necessarily enough to help you make the decision about whether or not you're going to start a journey. You may need some additional information, at least to make the journey perhaps easier. you may need to understand what's the weather like where you're going. You don't want to lug around a winter coat when you're going to places where the weather is nice and sunny every day, or you don't want to leave your raincoat or your umbrella behind when it's going to rain. So depending on how much detail you like, you could do all sorts of things and seek all sorts of information before embarking on a journey. So this is really what I have tried to do in my Dream Journey book, starting with that chapter which is titled Where Am I Now? Or I Am Here Now. In this chapter, you are starting off by, trying to assess perhaps which area of your life bothers you the most, or which area feels the most urgent, or which area should you prioritize. It might also help you to, think through what exactly you need to do in order to move forward on that area. So we have got different assessments. We have got assessments on relationships and family. There is an assessment on the physical. This is actually physical well-being, career and business, financial, spiritual, mental, lifestyle. And these are all different aspects of life, which I suppose are important to all of us, but some may be more important or more urgent to deal with than others at any one point in time. And if we take the one on relationships and family, for example, the assessments are structured in the same way. So you start off by trying to rate for yourself how important this topic is to me, and also asking yourself, how clear is your vision of whatever you want as it relates to that topic? And this helps you to see whether this is something that you should prioritize. Because if it's really not important at that point in life, maybe you should be putting your energy somewhere else. And it also helps you to determine whether or not you know what you want. Sometimes you want to change something, but you don't want, or you don't know what you want to change it to. And so you might be feeling a little bit stuck, a little bit frustrated. But if your vision is clear, then it makes it easier for you to determine which, it helps you to determine what steps you can take in order to move forward. And then each assessment is followed by 10 questions, and the 10 questions ask you different things, which can help you to pin down exactly where the issue is, if there is an issue with a certain topic. For example, if you look at this assessment on relationships and family, it asks you a number of questions, and one of the questions that it asks you is, or that it asks you to rate is, I take full responsibility for my part in conflicts in my relationships. If you rate yourself low on this, it will likely, or it could lead you to asking yourself, okay, so how can I take more responsibility? Or what are the consequences of not taking responsibility? And as a result of that reflection, it could lead you to make changes on that specific aspect of relationships and family. And those changes will lead to an overall learning for you, or overall changes that will be reflected in your relationships and family. And so this is how doing these assessments can help you to move forward. Now, the way the book is structured, you don't have to do all the assessments at a go. You don't have to start from set 1 to set 10 before you can read the rest of the book. You may decide to do just set 1 and then jump over to other parts of the book, which we will be looking at in later sessions. Or you may decide to do 2 or 3 different sets and then have some reflection. You have plenty of space to, make some notes, and you even have space to, to create some plans for yourself. And you can do a set today and maybe come back to it 5 or 6 months down the line just to see whether you have made some progress. And this is really why this workbook is not complete until you have done whatever you want to do with it, until you have put in your notes, until you have made your reflections, until you have, gone through it probably several times. I know somebody who said to me that she even uses different colored pens so that she can track different stages of her development, if I may put it that way. So this is very much a journey that you can fashion in whichever way you want. I can see Pauline has joined us, Inviolate has joined us, Tony, hi, all of you people, thank you for joining. And if you have a question, please just, you can put down your question in the comments section, and I will try to address it in the live session. So doing the assessments shouldn't make you feel like you have to do homework or that you have to think too hard. Start with the assessment that you feel most connected to in that moment, or perhaps the one that you most want to do something about. But once you have done all the assessments, if that is what you end up doing, it might also be helpful to go back and look and see which of these areas should I perhaps prioritize. Thank you, Eileen. Eileen likes that idea of using different colors to track progress and development. Yes, Eileen, I thought it was quite an interesting idea when the person shared it with me. So when you have done all the assessments, it might also be a good idea to go back and look at all of them, because you might also discover areas that you're doing much better than you thought. Because when you go down to the detailed questions in each set and you start scoring yourself or rating yourself, sometimes you get surprised because you might think that this is the area in which I need to make progress, but you find that when you look at the individual questions, you're not doing so badly after all. And of course, the opposite is also possible, that you might think you're doing very well in an area, but when you break it down, you realize that perhaps you're not doing as well as you thought. Or you understand that you might be doing well in several aspects of that set, but there's one thing that's, that's holding you down, and perhaps that's the one thing that you need to change, and that would make a big difference. So these are just several ways in which you can use these assessments and reflect on your life journey and where you are and wherever you're going. So I'm going to pause a little bit and just check and see whether there is a question anyone would like to ask, or a comment anyone would like to share. Okay, I don't see any questions or any other comments. So I'm going to end today's live session there. And I would like to invite you to continue making comments if you think of something after we end this session. And please join me again on Wednesday at 7:30 to look at the next chapter in the workbook. And this is, let me just get to that page. This is really the chapter where we are looking at, beginning to sort of visualize or articulate our vision. And as I said, this is what I will be discussing next week. So thank you, all of you who joined me this evening. Have a good night and see you next week.